Alright everyone, welcome to another cool vintage cube 64 player try and qualify for Las Vegas video. You guys know the drill. This is going to be 64 players battling out for one spot in the weekend draft. Not much to say here. We're playing single elimination. Maybe this video is 30 minutes. Maybe this video is 2 hours. Who knows? I played quite a bit on the weekend when the feeder leagues were up, and I didn't do particularly well when it came to actually converting. Keep in mind, it's the 4-0 threshold right now. I was able to get to the finals 5 times before finally clinching the 4-0 ticket, so definitely not the easiest for me to get over the hump. I had a good win record. I like my decks overall. I like how I drafted. I didn't, make glaring mistakes. So I think I have very high respect for those who manage to churn, 3, 4, 5 tokens over that time span. I certainly think I did a good job, and I ended up with 1, so you can take that however you want. Yeah, so what's at stake today? What's the situation here? We're going to be drafting in 8 different pods. The winners of those 8 pods will draft again, and the winner of that pod will advance to the weekend, as I talked about. So no other prizes. This is basically for the love of the game, to keep the dream alive, and I think that represents my approach to the game pretty well. If I was lying in my bed now, asleep, it's almost midnight, I lost a tournament, right? So not showing up is the same as losing for me, so I want to show up, give it my best, and log off and go about with my day, or get a good night's sleep, whatever the case may be. So that's my approach to these. I play these to give myself a chance to win. Do I expect to win? Not at all. That would be foolish, playing against the best players in the world. And not to mention very high variance format, so I'm playing this to give myself a chance, and that's what I'm going to do today. Hopefully start off with a cool draft here. The draft is set to fire in just seconds, so yeah. You guys, thanks so much for being here, and enjoy the video. So first, I'd like to get an overview of who's in my pod while the packs are loading. Who am I in a pod with? Do I know anything about those players? Can that be some kind of tiebreaker? Let's see. Okay, so I'm in a pod with Edgar, and that's actually the only name that I recognize, which is very rare in these. I'm not gonna underestimate anybody, but it's just cool to, keep track of. This pack is also kind of cool. I could have used this for my daily What's the Pick series, to be honest. So we have Force of Will. Good card to force through combos. Good card to not lose to combos. Then we have Windswept Teeth. And then we have Inti. I feel like those are like the cards I can realistically pick from. I think I'm going to pick the fetch land here. There's an argument that picking something like the Glimmerlens lets me wheel the Adeline, and then I'm in a great lane. But if somebody else has that idea, I'm kind of screwed. So I think the Windswept Heath is the one that leaves me the most open. So does Force of Will and Inti, but I'll say they require more of your deck, right? Force of Will requires a blue count. Inti requires, a red deck. So Windswept Heath gets there here on very close points. Let's see what the next card is. If it's something that goes well with the Windswept Teeth or not, you never know. Okay, this pack is really not impressive. I could even argue the best card here is something like Headliner Scarlet. Let's say I go first pick Inti, then I take the Scarlet. What if I go first pick Force of Will? Then maybe I take something like Palantir. That wouldn't be very good. What if I go first pick Glimmerlens? Then after firing off a huge sneeze, I will probably go Council's Judgment to follow that up. I think it's okay to just go Scarlet here. Not by a long shot what you're hoping to second pick if you're trying to qualify for Vegas, but that's what we have to do here. I don't even think there's anything worth talking about. Maybe the Palantir is worth talking about. Okay, so now I'm kind of lucky that the 2 of the best cards in the pack are Delighted Halfling, Fatal Push. So this could be a case where I'm trying to say, I want this Windswept Heath to be good, so Halfling is good. Accelerating out red 3s and 4s, so it's total legit strategy. Plateau would be speculating on the white. I don't mind that. So it's like speculate on white, speculate on green. I think I've passed more quality green. No, the other way around. I think I've passed more quality white, so that's going to be my tiebreaker here. I like Plateau, don't get me wrong. I'm going to take Delighted Halfling here, and right now, we don't know, but I'm hoping that I can just, draft a good red-green deck here. So, another weak pack, which is kind of a good sign, I guess. So let's see. Figure of Destiny is considerably better than Paradise Druid, but Figure of Destiny and Delighted Halfling are very unlikely to go in the same deck. I also just passed Plateau, which is kind of not the best place to be. I think there's a good case for this Paradise Druid. I already have a multicolor fixer, as long as it's Legends. And try and go into some multicolor green, fetch, Halfling, Paradise Druid opens up a lot of good stuff. And while Headliner Scarlet isn't at its best in a deck like that, like, let's say we're playing, more like Umnath style deck compared to Red-Green Hasters, it's still going to be reasonable. These lands are like tier 2 lands that you would love to play if you knew your colors, but 4th pick, Paradise Druid. This does not sound like a trip to Vegas is about to be booked. The good news is that hopefully these packs are bad for everybody, and the power level is at a certain place. Can't really know that, though. Okay, next pack here. So whenever there's a pick like this, where you have like this solid card into another color, but you also have a dual, I always pick the duals. It needs to be a very good card for me to pick the dual over it. What I could do here is pick Devoted Druid, but I think it's better to take Tropical. Like, I can go into some Teamer, draft a little bit of Oko here, a little bit of whatever the case may be. 2-mana counter there, blue power if I'm lucky. I think this dual land will help me more than the Dak Phaeton. Another really not exciting pack. Huh, interesting. With 10 cards in the pack, I'm going to see this pack back with 2 cards in it. So basically, I'm trying to ask myself if one of those could be Orcish Lumberjack. I think I'm supposed to take Prismatic Vista here. I like Lumberjack, but I think Prismatic Vista is going to allow me to play, powerful white cards, powerful blue cards, etc. Where Orcish Lumberjack is good in red-green specifically, and I don't think I'm cemented there just yet. So I'm very happy with that Prismatic Vista. So now I can basically go Tracker or Chain Lightning. Commercial District is an interesting one as well. So if I go Chain Lightning, I'm going closer to, red-green assertive, which I don't mind at all. Tracker could be more replaceable, but is also kind of a cool value card if the game goes longer. Pretty close here, but I'm going to go for the Chain Lightning and try and be the Gruul deck that I always wanted. And here comes the Umnath. So, okay, I don't think Umnath is a bad pick here. Chain Lightning is going to be good in the deck regardless. So it's basically Umnath versus Gitaxian Probe. I'm going to go with Umnath here. I feel like I'm already, going there when it comes to the mana base. Huh. Interesting. So Lens Wield. So somebody's going to be happy because they took Adeline out of this pack. I can't really use that card, so maybe I just go Galvanic Discharge. Is that or the Spear? But I think Galvanic Discharge is, fine for the job, so to speak. Absence Pilgrim is not a bad one, especially if I'm trying to cast white cards. Okay, that's a great wheel. I don't think I registered the first time around. Okay, so basically we're red-green speculating on Omnath. Let's put it over here. Part of that spec plan is because I picked up Tropical Island. So now I can take Lotus Cobra. I already have 2 fetches. The card is, if I'm more like Omnath, Fractured Identity, Teferi type deck, it's going to be good. Right now it's, solid. Can power out some 4-drops, but it's not the best. So I can't remember if I was supposed to wheel anything here. I think I just removed the card from the pack from like the color I'm playing. I think this is now or next time that I get to see if I could wheel the Orcish Lumberjack. That's kind of a sign about how things are gonna go, because if I don't wield that card, it's a bad sign. Somebody else is gonna contest, you know, good green, good red. Okay, it's the next pack. So here I take Devoted Druid. Not sure if I even play that card. Let's see. The thing about Devoted Druid is it's fixing the same colors that you use to cast it. So that's why Avacyn Pilgrim is better than Llanowar Elves in a deck like this. We get back to Lumberjack. Okay, that's super sick. So now I'm gonna mentally put Devoted Druid in my sideboard. And I'm gonna consider the color combination red-green open, which is a good sign. Okay. And a free Besaju from my mana base. Definitely not going to complain about that. So right now, I would say the Umnath is theoretical, so let's just put it out there for good measure. I'm not counting it out. I'm simply saying it's the most likely that I end up with red-green beats, red-green monsters, and, of course, the tropical makes it so that I can splash some stuff. Okay, very clear fourth Eolingus here. I already have a Windswept Heath. I already have Avacyn's Pilgrim, Paradise Druid, Lotus Cobra. It works with all of those. I can basically free roll this. I hope to pick up some kind of duel that lets me register 0 planes, but let's see about that. Fourth Eolingus is amazing here. Wasteland, Library are the next 2 cards I would be looking at. Blood Strand would be just fine as well. Fourth Eolingus. Okay, I mean, as long as you have that card in your deck and a lot of mana, you can win games of Magic, so let's see if we can build around this and get into a red-green deck I'm actually happy with. So that's, you know, all of the quality 3 drops. Got Fable, Bombardier. It's the Furies of the World. It's the Ragavan of the world. Okay, I mean, this is not the best Ragavan deck because you have a lot of other good one-drop plays like Accelerants. But Ragavan will lead to some free wins. I like that card a lot. What's the next best card in this pack? I mean, I don't think I can ask for Sentinel to come back, but maybe Rabblemaster can. Very happy with the Ragavan there. What do we have here? We have a Llanowar Elves that I just talked about. It's not really premier in this. You can most likely pick one up later, so I'm not going to prioritize it. I think I'm going to go for a fetch land here. The Fanatic of Ronas is a fine card, but I think it's going to be more clutch to have the fetches, especially with Cobra already. There are some more landfall stuff. And, you know, I'm having more options to connect for a white duel, whether it's Savannah, Tundra, whatever. Maybe Tundra is a bad example. And Plateau is gone, but, you know, something that connects with Misty that doesn't connect with Windswept Heath. Okay, I'm pretty excited about this because I found a lane, so now it's just up to the packs, basically. I think a lot of your success in Vintage Cube comes down to if you're able to find your lane. Like that critical point of you registering, oh, I'm supposed to be this, got it. And that's the difference between life and death, basically. So here, Psychic Frog is far and away the best card in the pack, but it's the exact 2 colors I don't play, so that's too much work. I should just take a Braid here as a role player. I think that's fine. Let's take a Braid here over, I don't know. You can argue I should think about the Mystical Tutor. So that, okay. Okay. Let me cook here. I actually think Mystical Tutor as a way to double my amount of fourth Eolingus is just going to win games. And I already have 3 sources of blue with a Cobra and a Druid on top. And the potential to play an island if I get more blue cards. Okay, I'm actually going to take this Mystical Tutor and be quite happy about it. I'm happy I noticed it before submitting. Going to be tough to pass a Stomping Ground, let me put it that way. Yeah, this pack doesn't have anything close to the level of Stomping Ground. Stomping Ground turns Misty and Windswept into duels. My deck is an Orcish Lumberjack deck that also wants to cast, you know, green spells, so pretty good pickup. This pack is not amazing. The thing about Flage is, while Flage is good, I don't think I'm able to support double white. I think that would simply stress the mana too much. I think Lavamancer is a sideboard card at best. Snapcaster Mage is good with Chain Lightning. can discharge, but it's going to stress the mana a little bit. Maybe I just go Smuggler's Cup here. I actually think the card is fine. You know, tap your Mana Elf, get in for 3 in the air, takes your hand a little bit. I think that's okay. I'm never sad about a card like that. So here I'm looking at Bone Crusher Giant, and I'm considering simply just picking up my white fixing right now. It works with Windswept Heath, so that puts me at 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think this is a good time to set up my my white splash. The alternative is the Canal. Let's check blue. 1, 2, 3. So that would make it 4. I'm set up for the future and some blue cards maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna take the Surveil Land here. Pretty close pick actually. Right now, it doesn't look like the best Tarmogoyf deck, but it's not the worst either. Maybe Tarmogoyf is okay. The other alternative is green-white. Green-white. That might let me play more white. But I think I'm okay just taking Tarmogoyf here. With that being said, what does white offer? It's like Path, Plow. Maybe I'm just adding variance to the deck by splitting up my mana sources so much. Maybe Tarmogoyf is fine. Horizon Canopy. I'm not super big on these cards because most of my decks can actually use the mana throughout the game, but maybe this is what I have to pick. Firebolt as a tier 2 interactive option. I already have Discharge and Chain Lightning. What's the most likely to make my deck? Maybe it's Firebolt. I'll just put it in the sideboard for now. I do wield a Sentinel. Wow. Days even going all the way around. That's pretty impressive. I love that. And now I can get a free Llanowar Elves. I'm not, in the market for having a ton of those, but it's going to be fine. Let's just take Haywire Might as a disenchant hate card. These cards, I wouldn't say matter too much. I'm just going to take the Reclaimer. Maybe there's some Ursa Saga Strip Mine situation that I randomly find myself into. Yeah, how's it going? I don't know. It's pretty average here. This is not something that I can expect a 3-0 with, but I'm fairly certain I'm supposed to be these colors, so what can you do? Also, Omnath might be back on the menu because of Earlingus and Mystical Tutor Splash. Really don't want to stress my mana anymore here. Let's see if this Omnath makes the deck. Red-green base, and then with the splashes. 15th pick Bauble, that's kind of amazing. That'll make my deck. I play Tarmogoyf, so that's going to make my deck for sure. Okay, interesting booster here. This is funny because there isn't any slam dunk cards here for me, but I can see taking the flash and see if I can randomly get there. I mean, what am I taking it over? Not much, if anything. I think this is just a clear flash. The Ulvenwall Oddity, kind of replaceable, obviously great. Fine card to have, right? I'm a bit late here. Third pack flash is not ideal if you want to get there. There's even a chance if I get one card to go with the flash that I don't play that simply because they would be terrible cards alone, right? I guess I still have a Mystical Tutor to double up on it, so something to think about for sure. So Sneak Attack is tempting, but I don't think I should double down on that plan, the flash plan basically. So for me, this is Fiery Confluence or Sacred Foundry. Let's check our mana here. I already have a quote-unquote Sacred Foundry. One fetch that goes and gets it. Fiery Confluence is just a card that wins games, both as a sweeper, artifact clearance card, and going to the dome. So I think I have a hard time passing that. I'm just gonna take that card. Ooh, I missed it while scanning the pack the first time. Broadside Bombardier. Okay, that's amazing. That card is exactly what the doctor ordered. Like when you go turn 1 Accelerant, turn 2 Bombardiers. That's awesome. This deck doesn't have as much crap lying around, but I do have some, like I can sack a 3 or 4 drop to finish. I can sack like the maps. I have a little bit of treasures going on from Ragavan. This card is very, very strong. Okay, so let's do a playable count. I'm on 27 minus 7, so I'm at 20 playables right now, but I need the flash to connect in order for that to, count. So let's see. Let's see. All right, next pack here. Entomb is the best card. Then Mystic Confluence, so not exactly a great pack for me. I'm looking at the Zenith. Zenith is at 2 mana, gets a Dork. 3 mana, gets a Dork or Goyf. 4 mana, gets a Sentinel. 5 mana, gets an Umnath. I think that's good enough for me. The other cards aren't amazing, so I have 3 fetches. So there's something to be said about the Deathrite Shaman. Actually, I don't have a set number for when that card is worth it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should get that at some point. This is a Deathrite Shaman deck? Deathrite with 3 fetches? That seems like playable. Lumberjack also fuels it. Opter potentially. But no black in the deck? I don't know. I'm going to take the Zenith here, but it was super close. So now it's basically fixing. So let's see. The Generous End would be a 3-color fixing between Tropical and Stomping Ground. Or something like Flame Slash. I think Flame Slash is slightly better than Burst Lightning because it kills more stuff early. Yeah. Maybe my mana's all right here if I take the Flame Slash. Close pick, actually. Also, the last couple of packs I didn't look for flash targets, so I have to do better at that. That could easily have been flash targets. But the problem is, I'm not even sure I want to run those cards. Ooh, here's Natural Order. This is like the absolute worst case scenario for my deck. I wanted the Plow, I wanted the Birds, I wanted to speculate on the Order, but now I have to choose, and I can only choose one of them. I have 1 Accelerant, 2, 3, 4, 5. Problem is, this is the best Accelerant, but I think I have to take Swords to Plowshares here. Darn, that's a bummer. So many good cards in the same pack for me. Isika's Chariot, I like that card a lot. Okay, let's play that. So right now it looks like the Flash is not getting in there. Umnath is probably questionable. Right now it's just my gut feeling that, setting the mana up to cast Umnath off the double splash is going to be too rough, but who knows. Right now I have built in 3 blue, 4 blue, 5 blue, 5.5 blue, which is not that bad. Then what about white? 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Othari is awesome here. Tundra is awesome here. Noble is awesome here. I feel like I should take the Noble. Yeah, I think I want to get out of the gates with this deck. I wield the Oddity. Okay, that actually might make the deck. Because I was about to say I was getting a lot of cheap cards compared to expensive cards. Like, the ratio wasn't perfect. Okay. I mean, for a deck without power, this can win some games and put pressure on the opponent. I already have to make cuts. Maybe it's something like Tarmogoyf. But let's see how I end up here. Let's take the Soul Cauldron as a hate card. I think that's fine. Fine card to have in your sideboard. We didn't see any reanimation cards this draft, so obviously someone is doing it. What am I cutting here? Maybe I'm cutting Tarmogoyf. The sad reality. But I think that's okay. We're trying to win the game with these cards up here. And then maybe you can count the Mystical Tutor, I guess. Does the Bauble have any synergies now that... Oh, Endurance. Okay. I mean, that's not bad as a free roll. Does the Bauble have any... applications now. You can fling it to Bombardiers, I guess. Watley, I don't think that card is terrible. I don't think it's great either. Endurance. Yeah, this is actually quite amazing. I should probably take this card. I mean, if I can cast that card, it's great. Same with Mana Tithe, to be honest. Let's see how much how much I can stress my mana with white. I think this card, Arwen, is better than Omnath in a deck like this. It's trying to attack and force through damage. Let's see here. If I end up playing, let's just play with the fact that I'm running 1 planes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The reason why I'm counting Halfling is Arwen is also a legend. I think playing 1 planes here is defensible and then running the Arwen. Let's check up on the red. No, what's the other splash? The other splash is mystical. Let's check up on that. I think, yeah, just tropical, couple of fetches, and the occasional mana dork. That's fine. So 0 islands. Perfect. Let's see. What about mountains? Red sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already. 5.5 from Druid, right? So I will have to add some of those. Probably like 4. I want to say 4 mountains. And how many planes? 1 planes. So that's already up to 36. Now let's count green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then add 4 more up to 40. Okay, so 10 green, 9 red, 4 or 5 blue, 5 or like 6 or 7 white. Okay, I think I accept that mana base. The 16 land deck here. Okay. So I'll make my mana base like that and submit, and then I'll be ready for round 1. All right, guys. Quarterfinals of the first pod. Before submitting, I realized that Firebolt is probably better than Galvanic Discharge when I don't have any other energy stuff, and the flexibility to go to the face is probably worth more. That being said, Galvanic Discharge is a good sidebar card against any creature deck. This hand is nothing to write home about. It's fine. So interestingly enough, the birds went all the way over to that guy. That's cool. So let me quickly check my list here when it comes to Green Sun Zenith. So I don't have anything exciting at 2 mana right now. At 3 mana, I have Endurance and Sentinel. So that card is most likely going to be a 4 mana Sentinel at some point, seeing that I have Seek's Chariot in hand already. So by the looks of things, I might not have a play next turn, so I want to attack with the most power possible. I'm going to play Delighted Halfling here, setting up to play Noble Hierarch, attack for 2, and then hopefully bring the beats with Oddity. Also, I know my opponent did not get the natural order from the draft. That's worth noting. This could be incredibly dangerous. Let's see. Questing Beast is a good one. Turn 2, Questing Beast. Really putting me under pressure here. I think I'm going to play the land I just drew. Let's play Parlor. Definitely get rid of that card. And now I have to pass. And now I look kind of silly for not playing Omnath in my deck, because Omnath could undo the beast quite easily. My opponent keeps going here with some of the stuff that I consider taking, the birds and the tracker. Here's Swords to Plowshares, which lets me stay in the game. So my opponent's down to 1 card here. I feel like I should bank on this Oddity stabilizing against Beast and just plowing the tracker is the way to play. That card can spiral when it comes to value, so plow the tracker. Actually, ooh. Okay, fair enough. The opponent wants to gain 1 more life. I was actually scared of a blue 2 mana counter there. Mountain. Play a defensive oddity, looking to stabilize and pull away with Sentinel. Yeah, Unmath in my deck would have been sick here. I think I should have spent a bit more time thinking about if Omnath was castable off of my first, 4 mana sources often enough. Obviously here it would be. I hope this is just forcing the trade and my opponent doesn't have anything. Okay. Let's see. Opponent has a couple of cards in hand. Crop rotation. Interesting. Let's see what this is. I hope it's just a wasteland. Okay. So does my opponent have a way to recur? Oh, Spiral. That's awesome. Okay. Pretty good card to draw when as your last card. I like the crop rotation before. Not because Strip Mine is necessarily the perfect card right now, but because it's going to be better than not casting the crop rotation, basically. The flexibility is quite strong. Here's a random 3/3. And now we kind of have an interesting game here. I get stripped. That's totally fine. Blindside Diamond. Okay, so my opponent is cooking here. What is this? Echo of Eons. So no time to respond here for me. Doesn't make any sense to Arrow since everything is going to get shuffled. A lot of stuff happening here. I think I like this hand a tiny bit better. My opponent is looking to pass the turn here. Now I have some kind of game plan evolving here between Ortheolingus and Headliner Scarlet being a potent 1-2 punch, but I don't think that's how I'm supposed to play now. I think I'm supposed to take the draw, but let me just think about it for a second. Okay, so my opponent casts a lot of bunch of draw 7s, but they're not that much ahead. So let me quickly look at my Zenith package once more. I'm not looking at the cheap stuff. I have Sentinel, and now I have Oddity in the deck. Am I willing to use my turn? Maybe I should build mana this turn, actually. Yeah, I should build mana this turn. So what does that include? That includes going Pilgrim. That includes going... let's see, is there any merit to... I'll just draw my card, I guess, because things might change. Here's a Seeker's Chariot. So very good middle ground plays go as Seeker's Chariot, Pilgrim. That does sound decent. Pilgrim, Chariot, upkeep Mystical, try and crush my opponent with Earlingus with a big attack, followed up by Scarlet. I think that's a good plan. I'm going to start with the Pilgrim here because I'm playing Uncounterable Chariot, so I might as well. Oh, I did not play Uncounterable. Wow. I need to wake up. It could have cost me. The opponent had a Piercer Daze. Oof. Okay. Let's see if we can play a little bit better. I think our plan here is reasonable. We present the biggest card on the table. Okay, now the opponent also has some good stuff. But yeah, my opponent's also in a develop turn here, so funnily enough, the Deathrite Shaman went over to that player. Here's Exploration, makes sense with the draw 7 stuff. The opponent will have, almost infinite mana next turn, right? Because of the Nissa. So, am I supposed to use this turn for Scarlet and attacking dead the Nissa? Kind of going away from my plan. Because I don't want my opponent to have infinite mana. Let's see. So they milled over LED. Spiral is gone. Echo is gone. There might not be any more draw 7s over there. This opponent also passed Natural Order for birds. In a situation like this, I feel like I'm supposed to just kill the Nissa and kind of stabilize on life, and then we can kind of fourth later, if that makes sense. So let's see here. I can cast white. I can cast this card. And I can gain a bunch of life. Pretty cool. So now I can brew with let's see. Brew, tap, tap. I'm not getting life though. I'm actually tapping super poorly here. I'm taking more damage here. Okay, I think this is still worth it. Yeah, I'm not playing well in these on camera, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. Opponent can't block. Attack Nissa. Get an untapped cat. Yeah, I could have tapped a lot better here. And five and giving me the option to fetch a basic. This was terrible. Now my opponent has some kind of, you know, bigger chance to kill me in some weird way, where if I had 2 more life, it wasn't possible. Yeah, I'm missing a bunch of stuff here. Let's see if we can do better. So my game plan is still the Earlingus, and I played this turn to kind of stifle my opponent's development. Uro. Can Uro come back this turn? I highly doubt it. The fetch line sure does help. I believe if there's one more Surveil in there, bad things can happen for me. Let's see, what kind of haymakers do I have in my deck right now? Broadside would be amazing. Fiery Confluence would be amazing. Fourth Earlingus is amazing. I do have access to that card, so... Let's see. Wow, the opponent actually... Okay, cool. So, I think the question here is, am I winning this game if I tutor a plow? I don't think that makes any sense. Also, I have an indestructible creature to kind of stall the Uro. Okay, opponent. This is going to be a grind. Here's Blood Crypt, so the opponent is also working with some kind of wonky splash. Question is how scared... Oh yeah, the Vigilance is kind of good here. If I trade off with Scarlet, I'm getting closer to dying thanks to Deathrite. Scarlet is just a pretty cool engine here. What happens if I... How much can I Earlingus for here? I can Earlingus for 4 tokens. Attack with those. Maybe not including the cat. I'm supposed to take the damage here. There's a chance I should have blocked with 2/2. Super hard game. Okay, so first let's flip this card off the top. I can play Mountain until end of turn. Okay, that's cool. So now I'll cast Mystical. So what happens if I Earlingus for the full amount here? Then I don't have the lifelink. Maybe that's acceptable. If I attack with 5 of those tokens and some cats, I guess. I'm putting a lot of pressure on my opponent, but What if I just plow? Not backfire in any way. I draw plow, kill Uro, keep grinding with Chariot. I can even Zenith for yeah, I can even Zenith for the 4/4, can I? Yeah, the oddity is in the deck. Okay, I'm gonna go plow here. Let's see if it works. So plow Uro. Land. Zenith. Oddity. Through using... Maybe it's Scarlet. I don't want to block with that card. Scarlet and Cat? So... yeah. I think this is fine. Then I get in there with Chariot and Oddity. I make a copy of Cat here. And my opponent can do some double blocking, but they don't. So now I can go lifelink on Oddity. I feel like I should do that. Let's try. Lifelink on Oddity. My opponent could have a trick here. They don't have a trick. Opponent is starting to grow the Curator. I just went up to 11. My Oddity can transform. My opponent needs something cool here. Brennan 6 with no strip mine. I'm not too worried about. Let's see. Let's see what the opponent can do. Cryptic Code is a good one. Actually, at working on my life total, so I'm pretty happy about this. Wheel of Fortune. Wow, my opponent has all the draw 7s in the world. So I'm basically interested in if they have a way to end the game, like Brain Freeze. That would be the big one here. I draw into a cool hand of ton of burn. Here's Questing Beast. And funnily enough, that card can attack kind of freely here. And that is going to be my opponent's last play. So I go to 7 here, but I have a bunch of lifelinkers, so I'm not too worried about that. I have to think about my turn, though. Noble is gone. Flip the top card. Ragavan. Draw Zenith. Opponent with 7 cards in the library. I'm not sure we can take advantage of that, even though it would be kind of cool. So what if I go Chain Lightning that card, Firebolt that card? Can I still flip this? It's 7. How much mana do I have? I'm 1 short of that. Okay. You have lifelink on a bunch of creatures. Kill that card. I think that's totally fine. So I can go. Can I find a good way to kill Questing Beast and attack for 1,000,000 here? I think I can. So if I go drop Bombardier, kill Deathrite. Play Druid. Crew with Druid and That card, maybe? Attack with everybody. Fling the druid at the questing beast. Let's see. I don't know how much damage this is, but I think it's the best I can do here. I think my opponent might get another turn, which is unfortunate. Wow. So I probably made a mistake here. Yeah. Let's see how much that card could actually prevent on combat damage. Because I just shot it for 4. And I think it can only block a 3/3. Yeah, that's just bad math of me. I'm kind of getting worried about time here. I'm very lucky to win that one. Okay, so I make a lot of mistakes here, or suboptimal plays. That's not boding well. We're playing against the draw 7 deck. What can we do about that? What works well against a draw 7 deck? It's kind of cool we can get onto the field somewhat fast, right? I saw Deathrite, I saw Birds. In general, I think this removal spell is going to be good, but I also need to cut stuff for it. My opponent did not see Fourth Theolingus, which I'm pretty happy about. Looks like Copter can do good things in the air, but it does require a creature to crew it. Maybe the Copter is on the chopping block. Maybe I just want, do I want the grindy element of Omnath? Also, Copter takes up kind of 2 creatures, like this and another one, in order to attack or block. So as a defensive card, it's not as good. And you can argue Omnath is just always good. But we don't necessarily have blue mana, but we have Zenith, so maybe it's going to be fine. Okay, I can play this. We're playing against Pseudo Mirror when it comes to colors, but looks like their deck is, fast bonding and exploration type stuff. Okay, this hand is great. It has good plan depending on what happens. My opponent with no play turn 1. That's very good for me. So now I can go turn 1 Stomping Ground. Thank you, mana fixing. And cast turn 2 Yerlingus if the coast is clear. Which it is. Okay, so we can cast Fourth Yerlingus here, and I think I should because Fourth Yerlingus also helps me get to my next land. I think it's okay without being insane. Attack for 2, become the Monarch, draw the land on time, which is huge. So now I have some good 4-drop options, but I can also go, Chain Lightning your play, develop some more mana if the situation calls for it. So I didn't play a big Earlingus that's going to win the game quickly, but this is going to set me up well for a longer game, which is kind of the theory here. I do have to think about my opponent playing a card like Questing Beast, so right now I'm leaning towards Isika's Chariot Go, simply because it blocks the 4-mana beast. Here's a Blood Crypt, here's Excavator. Okay, so maybe I'm back on Mythical Tour being a brick here. Maybe I'm back on Chain Lightning, developing mana. Chain Lightning, developing mana. What kind of 2-drop do I have? I have only Cobra aside from the Druid. Mystical is a dead draw. I just don't want my opponent to replay stuff out of the yard. 2/3 is going to be annoying. So now I can go Paradise Druid. Attack. If my opponent has the Questing Beast, I can upkeep Mystical for Plow, which is actually quite nice. Upkeep, Mystical, Plow, and then I have 3 mana. Take back the Monarch. Things are kind of working in my favor if the game progresses like that. The opponent has some selection here, but they're under pressure. That's kind of how a card like Sylvan Library is aging, basically. If the game is going draw-go, it's a super good card. If you're getting pressured, less of a good card, so... I'm interested to see how well that deck actually plays off of the draw 7s and from behind in general. Also, my opponent's a long way from casting Uro, which is one of the best combat cards. This looks like a crop rotation, so spicy things could happen here. Okay. My opponent uses it as mana fixing and then goes Leovold. Interesting. But the thing about Leovold is, what's the opponent gonna follow this up with? Probably a draw 7, right? I'll cast this upkeep Mystical. Maybe I'll leave Plow in the deck. That's actually big brain here, so I can go pick the Flame Slash, draw, Flame Slash the Leovold, and now I think my opponent's so low on life that I'm actually going to go Oddity and put as much pressure on the opponent's life total as possible. Chariot would be a better defensive mechanism, but I think getting in for 6 here is quite strong. Draw a card, Semantic Vista, and I have the maximum pressure on the opponent right now, and I'm actually forcing to flip the Oddity into an 8/8 Trampler, so a lot of cards don't even work on defense unless they're removal spells. If somebody wants to go Seek, okay, well, the opponent's dead. If somebody wants to go Seek his Chariot there, I don't blame them. For the simple fact that 6 is not a life total that tampers with, their ability to draw 1 extra off Sylvan Rivalry and kill me on the spot. But I just figured their deck wasn't able to kill me on the spot. It was like green ramp deck trying to have Strip Mine Recursion, and then with the draw 7 package, like, sprinkled in. You didn't have the Breach and the Brain Freeze to finish off, but I mean, there's no way for me to know that, right? That's just my analysis here. Okay, so it was a rocky road. I think game 1 was incredibly tough to play. That's basically the kind of game that I really don't hope I'm getting when I'm playing on camera, because I want to talk through stuff. I'm doing this in a foreign language. I want to play well. There's time management, so not ideal, but we got the job done here, and I'm very happy for that. So that means at least one more round of Magic. I will see you guys there. All right, guys. Round 2, which would be the semifinals of the first pod, is coming up in just above half a minute. So yeah, I think I'm playing against Edgar. We've played in so many of these 64 players, like before the Vegas qualifiers, at the Vegas qualifiers, and I think we've mostly been trading wins. I think he's got the best of me in like last time we played, so it would be cool to take him down. I think he's been playing some aggressive deck, and he's been playing like some green deck similar to the one I just faced in the last 2 matches. Can't really remember other than that. But yeah, let's see. I think my deck is reasonable, but I will obviously lose to like heavy power. If the game goes at a normal play speed, I have a chance. Oh, okay, I'm not playing against Edgar. I guess I messed up the bracket. Time is not constant. Cool name. This hand, what do we say about that? Ragavan on the play would have been a slam dunk. Ragavan on the draw, a bit more iffy. This Plow doesn't do much unless I find a white source, and that would mean that I drew 1 more mana source to my already 4 mana sources. So I'm just going to take a quick glance at my deck here. I have Plains, Vista, Heath, Parlor, and then I have to check if the Misty is a white source. It's not, so Pilgrim, Noble, Paradise, Druid. The Ragavan still might be strong, and I might draw like a mana creature to clear the way, enable the Plow, but this is not the best keep at all. This is incredibly close to a mulligan, in my opinion. Opponent goes Marsh Flats. I draw Druid, which makes the hand way better. I was about to play the Forest there. Let's not make any obvious mistakes here. So if the Ragavan gets killed, I can curve Druid into Chariot. If the Ragavan does not get killed, we kind of get that one going. Sacred Foundry. So let's see if we're up against some kind of aggro deck. Could also just be a splash in a blue-white control deck. Could be whatever, right? We know we eliminated more or less all the draw 7s. I think I saw Wheel, Spiral, Echo of Eons in the previous match. It's not super important, but it's kind of good to, think a little bit about what you've seen go in the draft. I'm not sure if we saw Strip Mine in the last draft. Okay, well, let's just see what's going on here. I'm pretty happy with the Paralyzed Druid draw. It's way better than a land. Just imagine drawing like an additional forest or mountain. That would be crazy bad. Also, this kind of mana combination is kind of the reason why I didn't register Omnath to begin with. I think if you draw 2 forests or 2 mountains, which I don't think I'm a favorite to. I think I only have 4 of each. Yeah, I'm just looking at the deck list. I only have 4 of each, so it's not like it's going to be a super big problem, but it's some kind of variance, right? Just imagine I draw Omnath now. That would be atrocious, so. Let's see what Time is Not Constant can bring to the table here. It's only a matter of time before I run out of things to say in the dead air. Let's see. The opponent plays nothing. We just attack with the Ragavan and see what happens. If the opponent plays a blocker, I can think about forcing the trade. Okay, never mind. It looks like the opponent has a great turn lined up here. Let's see. Okay. That card gets killed. Here comes a mountain. So instead of holding up Sacred Ground, the opponent holds up mountain. I'm not really sure what to make of that, to be honest. Here's Noble, which is not the best draw because it's going to be so off curve. I'm still going to play my hexproof creature. I would even play this if it wasn't hexproof because it's 2 mana, so it's using my mana better. So now my opponent has a heavy mana advantage, but there's something to be said about the damage race favoring me here. Swamp. So we're on some Mardu stuff. Othari is my best bet. Okay, that card. I like to see that card because I can easily deal with it with a plow. Let's see what we can draw. Bombardiers. Okay. Not a bad draw. Let's plow that one. Give my opponent some life. I'm not gonna fling my Paradise Druid. I care too much about my mana. Next turn I actually want 5 mana to go Noble Chariot. Broadside Bombardier was a good draw because it lets me use my mana well. Otherwise I would have played like Noble Hierarch and not really use my mana well. So very happy with that draw. Right now it's not like a world beater, but it is pretty strong, you know. Right when I've powered out these cards, I don't care about the Druid. All of a sudden it represents 4 damage, right? Yuri taking care of the board here. Super strong. Okay. Yeah. That sucks. Now it's interesting to see if my opponent can even kill the 4/4 here, because if they can't, then I can trade off the Fury and kind of start from there, or I can take 6 and try and attack back. I did just draw Headliner Scarlet, which is a pretty strong one. So let's see if what the opponent can follow up with here. That has a lot to do with how I'm playing my turn out. Mana Crib right hasn't exactly been a drawback for the opponent until now. I think it's 3... Yeah, three heads or 3/1 flips. So right now it's just a Mox on steroids. No drawback. The Mana Crypt is a card that makes me want to, in theory, prolong the game. It's interesting to see if my opponent will force the issue here with Fury. I think I'm crewing and blocking if that's the case. Not that many cards punish me. I guess it's like Burst Lightning and Lightning Bolt. Here's a tap land. More Haymakers. Okay, so that card is acceptable. Let's see what the opponent's discarding. Discarding Wasteland. Yeah, that card doesn't do anything against my draw, but it is decent against my deck in general. Ooh, the opponent found more stuff. Okay, Barrogoyf it is. But the opponent has high quality, haymaker type cards. That's sweet. I have to think about how to play here. Am I attacking with Chariot, trying to force some kind of trade? Am I attacking with Chariot after going unblockable? Is that even a race I'm winning against a lifelinker? Biggest problem is I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not doing that. And the Scarlet is also kind of a Dark Confidant every turn, so that could be good. My opponent's considering attacking here because if I block, an artifact will go to the yard, and now my opponent has a 4/5, so it's going to grow the Barrogoyf. So obviously, my opponent has to consider, do they have any interaction? So Fury might be better on the board. Do I have interaction? So Fury might be better, as an attacker, get your hit in before getting killed by a bolt or whatever. Yeah, I'm clearly behind here, mainly because of the mana crypt and how it accelerated the opponent's game plan. Pretty tough. Let's try and think a little bit about how I actually draw out of this game. It's maybe something with the Headliner Scarlet. Trading off the Fury here is not something my opponent will let me do. I draw Llanowar Elves, which is a terrible draw. So what I can do here is go Scarlet, through with Scarlet and a cat, attack. Maybe that's bad logic. Do I attack with Scarlet as well in this spot? Do I get in for 7, have a 2/2 on defense, try and build a board here? I think so. Yeah, this is really not the ideal spot for this because it's incentivizing me to attack, but it's not a very good spot to attack in, basically. So if I leave Scarlet back, Scarlet kind of eats the Pyro. I think that's better than leaving behind a cat that doesn't really do much. Oh, yeah, the question is it better for me to attack for 3 or defend with a 3/3? Unclear. I think it's good for me to grow my board regardless. I'm taking 6, I'm taking 9, I'm taking 11, potentially even more. Yeah, I'm gonna play like this. I'm losing this game pretty clearly right now. This is especially where my hand was, decent. I love the Paradise Druid draw, I love the Bombardier's draw, but these two guys are more or less blanks in this spot because they're just lands with Summoning Sickness that tie up my mana, basically. And now that my opponent got life gain on the table, the race is also unrealistic. Lelia, but might force a trade on my Scarlet, which I really don't like. My opponent is playing an interesting deck. Lots of snowball cards in there, but also lots of cards that can sit in your hand if you don't have the mana crypt, so maybe I can take advantage of that. Let's see what the opponent figures out here. It's kind of scary they can even make the land into a creature here. So funnily enough, I have Fiery Confluence in my deck that would almost sweep the board, but the Barrogoyf would stay, so that card is probably pretty easily when beating my Chariot, Lone Chariot, very importantly. Oof, Mana Crypt, what a card. So my opponent is probably thinking about, like, wanting to not die out of nowhere. The thing is, the life from Barrogoyf is kind of really helping the opponent out in that regard. If Lelia attacks, I only have a bad block or a trade with Scarlet. Scarlet is kind of my way into this game. My Plow is gone. I have a lot of cards with bad timings on them. I even have uncastables in my deck. Okay, so let's see what the opponent can hit off Lelia. They hit a mountain. So now what I could do is double block the Baragoyf to get it out of there. Is that viable? I think I have to. I think that life is going to be the death of me. Compared to, so with this in mind, I would have looked way better if I left back 2 cats, right? But then the opponent also sends the Pyro. But yeah, I think I don't think I gave myself the best chance to win. Actually, I actually think I should have kind of saw this coming, even though it was kind of hard. Here's a forest. Still feel like I should attack here and grow the board, even though it's not ideal. Also, my opponent has the ability to go reanimate the land and double block, and that's terrible for me. Okay, so maybe I have to slow down now. I think I have to slow down here. Oh, crap. Okay, I missed the Exalted here. Magic is too hard of a game for me to play at this hour, unfortunately. Really, I'm not playing my best Magic. I need to get over the hump when it comes to that. So let's see. Now I'm attacking with a 5/5, and I'm creating a token. So what a good player would have done was not play Forest, play Noble, make this attack, then play Forest, Llanowar Elves on second main. It's just a game of information. So that game of information at that point, and I didn't execute correctly. At this point, my opponent doesn't have to worry about my 2 cards in hand, which they would if I sequence correctly. So please sequence correctly when you play Magic. So basically, I'm trying this out while getting some chump blockers in play and, you know, trying to build an army that can kind of hold a candle against what the opponent's got going on here. Okay, so it looks like chump block and step make 2 1/1s from the opponent. Great play. Ooh, card gets exiled from the yard. Gross Delalia. Very good interaction here. I recently made a video about stuff like that. With, you know, the flashbacks, the delves of the world. Here's a missed crypt flip. So, not exactly a 50-50 spread on the crypt. That would help me a lot. Like, just imagine the opponent was on, you know, 12 or 9. Then all of a sudden we would have a game where the opponent would be kind of careful about what to do. But it looks like we have another problem on our hands here. Dragon? Wonder what the white splash is for. I have, maybe the white, maybe there's no white. Maybe it's just, no. Yeah, turning Marshflats into a red source. That could be. Because I have the Plow and the 4th Eolingus. Maybe some kind of like Flage. Yeah, Flage is a good shout for the white splash. But here comes some kind of dragon that destroys me, I feel like. My deck does not come back from bad board states, generally. So I definitely need my discharge out of the sideboard against this deck. I want discharge. I'll think about the Mana Tithe, but I don't think it's castable, actually. Like, you need to have Mana Tithe available early, otherwise it's not worth it. So I'm going to play the discharge over... Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fury is a very good one to know about, but also a card I don't think I can play around. Like, if I'm slow rolling my cards, I don't think my deck is good enough. Let's look. I think it's probably the Copter again. My opponent doesn't even have to kill anything here. They can just attack with everybody and force some chumps. And finds another mountain off the top. Just gonna concede here. What a beating. So that card is gonna be great against my opponent. I have Mystical Tutor, which also gets Fiery Confluence in a pinch, and Plow, as we saw in the previous match. Copter is once again the card where if it's like a 50-50 shot who's on the aggressive side of things, then I don't necessarily like the card. There's also something to be said about Ragavan, but I think on the play I should just run it. It leads to free wins. I guess I cut the Copter, kind of regrettably, but I think it's okay. Looks like a tough matchup, but very doable if my opponent does not have the mana crypt. That's basically why my deck is not a 9 out of 10. I don't have power, so my starts are mana dork into good stuff, which is very different. Because I can also draw those cards in the mid game, and then they're actually way worse than a land, or way worse than a Mox, depending on how you slice it. Tarmogoyf is another card I could have considered. I don't know. I think this is okay. I like most of my cards here. I just need to draw a good curve. Like Mana Dork turn 1, something turn 2, something turn 3, backed up by cheap removal. That's like my game plan, and then I have 4 Theolingas for drawn out games. Oh, crap. I forgot about the Umnath here. I don't know if I can add the Umnath here instead of anything. Maybe it's like Endurance for Umnath? Okay, I'll try that, because I think I'm willing to gamble a little bit on my mana situation in order to get slightly better cards in there. Then again, Endurance looks to be fine against something like, you know, Fury, Lelia, stuff like that. So it's not easy. But nobody said it was going to be easy, so let's see what we can do here. Nice Orcus Lumberjack draw. So, yeah, this hand is a mulligan, which is unfortunate. Like 2 lands, 5 spells, you have to mulligan. That's unfortunate. This hand is a keep, so I have some decent stuff to do. I can go Cobra into Oddity, and then what? Is it the 4-drop? Or is it Bombardier? Bombardier is kind of a weird one in this matchup, or in this deck. But I could see Lotus Cobra, you know, running out of gas at some point. Maybe I put back Oddity? Maybe I put back Oddity. What about Arwen? Like, if Cobra dies, I go turn 3 Arwen. Those cards are kind of good together. Okay, I can get rid of Oddity here, but I'm not convinced it's this can go in multiple directions. You could also argue getting rid of a land there was correct, and then bank on Parlor plus a couple of draw steps to find the next land. I guess you can even argue that Cobra was supposed to go, but I think Cobra and Bombardier are kind of a package, because when this card turns into like a bad piece of cardboard, it being a 4 damage thing with Bombardiers is huge. Arwen is good in any race type situation, can also block a ton. Let's see what this Parlor gets me. Another land. I don't think I'm supposed to go for another land here. Those kind of stuff will come naturally. So now we can imagine a world where I bottom Stomping Ground and I find my land and keep it. Mana Crypt once more is tough for me. Here's Barrogoyf. Okay, I draw Chain Lightning. Is that how you play Magic the Gathering? Just simply getting that card out of there? Yeah, I think so, because one more type and the Chain Lightning is not a live card anymore, so guess we Chain Lightning, play Stomping, pass. So now, because of the way this draw transpired, Cobra is not a very good card. And, you know, normal Magic is like no ramp, no just play my stuff is going to be better, which is kind of sad, but it's kind of a cool silver lining that Broadside Bombardier can throw it at some point. Let's see. Swamp is probably not the best lane for the opponent here. Okay, the mountain is going to be strong. Here's Bone Crusher Giant as a 4/3, so that is playable. I think I just go Arwen here. I think that card is fine to get into play. Worth noting is it's indestructible, so not a lot of funny business can happen out of red-black. There's Liliana, there's Sheldred's Edict. With the Bone Crusher already being in play, there aren't that many cards that can, prevent the damage, so to speak, or prevent the damage prevention, rather. Mystical Tutor is really a card for the future. It doesn't do a whole lot right now. If I get to 4 lands, I can think about a good Fiery Confluence scenario, but I don't really believe it, to be honest. Here's Inti. Worth noting is Inti can give Trample. My opponent discards, gives Trample, I block, prevent a little bit. The opponent finds a Wasteland off the top. Let's check. Did the opponent just play Mountain? No, they didn't. Okay, so that might just be the end of the road here. I take 3. My opponent found the Wasteland. The incredible draw. Let's see what I can do here. I find Galvanic Discharge. Galvanic Discharge, which deals with the Inti, which is not that bad, but I'm still... Well, okay, so I guess I deal with the Inti and stay home against the Crusher because it lost Trample. Okay, so I guess we can play some Magic here. We're not dead yet. That was a fine draw to stay in this game. And then my game plan is kind of trying to find a land so I can go either Bombardiers or go Cobra, then play land. Then, I don't know, load blue, cast Mystical, use this, get some life back. So I want to think about if there's any... Does it make sense to wait on the Galvanic Discharge? Is there anything that punishes me for waiting? Because I have to do it on my opponent's beginning of combat anyway. I think I just kill it now. There's something like... What would that be? Like Bone Shards? No, that doesn't work. I'm trying to think about discard stuff that could happen on the opponent's turn, like in response to me doing stuff. So the opponent could get extra Inti triggers. I think I'm going to do it beginning of combat. I can't think of a good reason for it. It's mainly... If my opponent has 2 options on the first main, they might go for the wrong one because I wait. Wasteland was a good one. I think I even saw it game 1. So I definitely should have thought about it this game, especially after bottoming, or after, binning the land off the Surveil. Realistically, I don't think it changes my decision, but it's good to think about everything, and Wasteland wasn't a card I was thinking about at that point. At that point, I was worried about, having a good land spell ratio and not flooding out. So right now, if I can kill my opponent's Inti, I can then block the Bone Crusher forever and then kind of stall, right? While Mana Crypt is hopefully doing some kind of work. I want to get into a situation where I can Mystical for something meaningful. Problem is, I need 4 mana to cast Fiery Confluence, which could be a card that kills my opponent at some point. I need white mana to cast Plow, which is a problem. Unless I draw exactly a fetch land, then I can kind of split up my mana and go Cobra, play fetch, blue mana for Mystical, and then next turn use that fetch to go into another white source. Elegant Parlor is gone, so if the Cobra dies, only Vista would help me in that spot. Looking at the deck list here. Since beginning of combat, I am gonna Galvanic Discharge the Inti here. Let's deal 2 damage. Now the opponent's attack doesn't make sense. We had to do it before. We couldn't get our opponent to commit here without, you know, the Crusher getting trample, etc. So let's see. Our opponent's follow-up here is quite important. Goblin Rabblemaster is a beatable card. I'll accept it. Let's see what we draw. We draw Misty Rainforest. Ooh. Misty Rainforest allows us to go Bombard, like Cobra. Let's look at the mana base here. I have a Tropical Island in my deck. So this allows me to go cast Cobra, fetch 1 mana, search a land, another mana. The land taps for mana, that's 3. Go Bombardier. Attack with Bombardier. Fling the Cobra onto Crusher. Get in for 2 damage because of Menace. Stay back with Arwen. You could even argue I'm supposed to attack with Arwen as well. Because at that point I'm getting 4 damage in, my opponent's at 10. Okay. Perfect draw, really. Lotus Cobra. And I even get the Tropical out of my deck so that I have Upkeep Mystical available, because I have like Chain Lightning and stuff like that in my deck. Broadside. Try and attack here. If 4 blockers, Cobra onto the Bone Crusher. Try and deal 4. Put my opponent to 10. Crypt is working. Opponent's at 7. So now they need to deal with my Bombardier or I win the game. Unfortunately, Glorybringer or whatever it's called can do exactly that. My opponent's getting in there, exerting the Glorybringer. So that means at least Glorybringer is not hitting me next turn. Now I have to think about things here on the upkeep. I can go for Flame Slash, kill the Glorybringer. I can go for Chain Lightning and then have a 50-50 chance that my opponent kills themselves here. The thing is, Rabblemaster and tokens attack for 6. So I think, unless my opponent has some more haste stuff, then it's like I have 2 flips to win. Let's see. Is Firebolt better? Mystical Tutor Firebolt, 5. Attack, 3. So it's kind of the same. Yeah, I don't have any magic stuff aside from that. And yeah, I think that's just the way I win this game. Or give myself a chance to win this game, rather. Oh, Chain Lightning's gone. Okay. Well, Firebolt it is. That's thankfully kind of the same around here. 5. Three. And we flip a coin. The opponent lost the flip. Wow. Ooh, that was incredibly lucky. The fetch land with the sandbagged Cobra after getting wastelanded after the mulligan. Oof. Okay, so Mana Crypt worked in our favor that game. We grant ourselves a game 3 here. The opponent has not seen, like, your Lingus, the Umnath. These are cards that, if the games are like fast mana crypt games, these are not good cards. But I don't think I'm supposed to hedge against getting mana crypted. Like, Boyd Haywire might. That would be something I could do, but I think it's kind of playing to lose. There's something to be said about Ragavan on the draw against a red-black mid-range deck. That could easily be a blank. I'm willing to play something else over Ragavan, basically. So let's see. What's good against what the opponent showed, like solid? Is Tarmogoyf solid? The thing about Tarmogoyf is it's going to be as big as his Nethergoyf. The Tarmogoyf is going to be as good as, Nethergoyf is in the opponent's deck. I have, like, realistically, like, fetch, sorcery, maybe instant creature. Like, Tarmogoyf is not a bad shout. I actually think cutting Ragavan on the draw is a big move here. And I don't think I need more expensive stuff. I think I'm going to be fine if the game goes longer in general. So Tarmogoyf, is that really time for you to shine? So a card like Watley is like similar to, Fourth Elingus, Omnath, Zenith for Omnath. Like, it's a card that's good if I'm not, dying fast. I'm not going to worry about that. You can even get blown out. Okay. Comes down to game 3. I'm very happy with forcing a game 3 against the double mana crypt draw. That's just your tournament can just be over, right? If you get mana crypted a couple of times or Lotus a couple of times. Library of Alexandria is another good one where some games just come down to that card in the opener. I don't really have that type of card, Ragavan on the play. You can argue against some decks. But I have the solid mid-game stuff backed up by a lot of 1-mana interaction and ramp, so I have my own little oops, I win button here and there, but nothing major. That Misty Rainforest with the Cobra. Cobra is generally quite bad going into the mid-game, but it actually accelerated me here because I drew the fetch. Accelerated me from 2 to 3, gave me a body to throw even. That was quite sick. Okay, we're looking at this hand. I have turn 1 Llanowar Elves, turn 2 Sentinel. It's very hard to pass up, I think. My opponent keeps 7 cards. The Sentinel will help me dig for stuff. It digs for land specifically because I can get rid of spells with it, and if there's a land on top already, I get into that card. My elf gets killed, it's kind of sad. Then hopefully a natural draw land. So basically, yeah, I mean, I think this is a keep. Obviously, another land than the second forest would have been amazing, but that's not the world we live in. We draw Mountain, which is a decent draw. Let's go Llanowar Elves. I'm not going to get too excited because I've seen my opponent, slow roll the Mana Crypt, play it out, do good stuff before, so here comes Legion Extruder, which is a card that right now just killed my Accelerant, but can later, turn Mana Crypt into scary 3/3. Let's see. This Flame Slash, I have high hopes for this game. Sentinel could be a good toughness. Here's Fable. Okay, that's an annoying card because my removal is sorcery speed, so I can either play off curve, or I can deploy my Sentinel. I think I'm supposed to deploy my Sentinel here. Fable's very annoying, especially because those treasures turn into 3/3s at some point. Maybe I should have had that in my decision making. Basically, I'm hoping that my opponent does not have a good attack here. If I Flame Slash that card, I'm worse off against, the Barrogoyfs of the world, the Lelius of the world, the Glorybringers of the world. So that's basically why I didn't want to do that, and I use my mana incredibly poorly. So, not ideal development here. Very good for the opponent. Play draw is huge here. If I go first, I land the Sentinel before my opponent can kill my Accelerant. I get to attack and map before my opponent gets to chapter 2 on the Fable, stuff like that. Play draw is super huge in these let's call it fair draws where nobody's doing something broken. So I can't really overcome the draw here, so to speak. Also, we have the problem with Umnath here, unfortunately, with our lands. Kind of unlucky. The 4 Forest, 4 Mountains deck is producing these sources. It makes Umnath a straight-up dead card. Okay. The opponent discarded 0 cards to the Fable, so that is not a good sign. Definitely not a good sign. Let's see what the opponent does here. Here's either the 3rd red or the 1st white or both. Let's see. Okay, so this is unclear what this is. Oh, this is, oh, Burst Lightning. Great play. My opponent gets the treasure, kills my guy before blocks. Great play. Here's Headliner Scarlet. Do I want to get that card going? Wow, I can't believe my opponent kept their hand here. That was amazing. Do I want to get Scarlet going? Let's see. I don't have untapped white off of the Misty, which is annoying. So if I go Scarlet, I do have untapped blue, but I think white is going to be more important for me to get later. I could also go... Nope, I can't. Maybe I just go Scarlet. That's really not an exciting play, but at least it gets my card flow going. I'm saying go here, forcing my opponent to remove the card because I believe it's more important to block than it is to attack at this point. My opponent now has a flipped Reflection that I probably have to kill with Flame Slash, I can imagine. Problem is that deck has a ton of other stuff that I also need to kill with the Reflection, with Flame Slash. Here's Soul Ring, okay. Mid-game Soul Ring, not as good as early Soul Ring, but okay. Huh. Okay, opponent. You got me. Scarlet down, I take 6. Draw Paradise Druid. Not gonna do it for me this time, so now I can Flame Slash the Reflection. My opponent will take a turn off, then they keep making 3/3s. I need to get to some absurd board state here where Omnath is relevant. Let's map onto the Druid, draw a mountain. I now have to develop more, I think, because I need the 4th color for Omnath. Even though the fetch is good with Omnath, can't really slow roll it here. Here's Lelia, so my opponent is really doing it to me here. I didn't stand much of a chance here in the games I lost. And I was super lucky to in the game I won. Here comes the Inti Lelia combo, growing Lelia twice. Ghostfire Slice, which is a card my opponent cannot cast. Oh, they can. They get a treasure here. Okay. Super sick. Super sick. Discard a card. Trigger to grow Lelia even more. Good games. Great match. Good luck in the rest. That was awesome. Ooh, great deck from the opponent. Soul Ring and Mana Crypt. That's the dream. That's simply the dream. The opponent basically had like the same plan as me. Played some stuff ahead of time. I used Mana Dorks. My opponent used Broken Artifacts, and yeah, my deck wasn't strong enough. Simply put, even some mana issues to emphasize the problem. Yeah, nice run. I always love to play these. I can't wait to play the next one. And yeah, not much to say. Let's see if we can take a look at the deck here before I shut down the video. So, I mean, what can you do here? I'm going to rewatch the draft. I think I maneuvered quite nicely. There were some judgment calls regards to, you know, main decking the Copter in this deck. It was kind of a way to, I wanted to filter if I had like a dead Ragavan, Lumberjack, Llanowar Elves in the mid game. You can kind of easily crew, fix your hand, mitigate flood a little bit. The Mystical for Theolingus didn't come to fruition, but having it in the deck is obviously incredibly strong. There wasn't a lot of smooth sailing here with, you know, turn 1 Accelerant, turn 2 guy, turn 3 guy, just crush the opponent. So the deck, I guess, performed pretty averagely, like losing round 2 to a better deck, I think is quite average for a deck like this, and I wasn't able to overcome that with my plays, so that's just how it goes. Okay, that's gonna end the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you back on the channel in the future for more sweet Vegas qualifiers. Thanks so much for watching.